Well, this is what we call an NFL earthquake, and this means that I have to just get live right now and start talking because Russell Wilson has just been traded to the Denver Broncos. He's out of the NFC West, a quarterback that has long tormented the 49ers. In fact, San Francisco only 4-17 against Seattle when Russell Wilson has started over the last decade? Yeah, Russell Wilson first showed up in 2012, so it's been nearly 10 years. 49ers have only beaten him 4 times and lost 17 times. Just like that, shockingly, he's with the Denver Broncos. And now it looks like Drew Lock, as this is coming in real time on my Twitter, I have it on the screen right behind here. It seems like Drew Lock is going to be going to Seattle as part of the return compensation for Russell Wilson. And I'm sure it costs several more first-round picks on top of that. But boy, anybody complaining that there wasn't enough NFL quarterback news, quarterback movement? Well, today you've seen Aaron Rodgers actually stay in Green Bay, but for record money, reportedly of $50 million per year, becoming the NFL's first $50 million man. And now you have Russell Wilson moving from Seattle to Denver. Total shakeup of the NFC West. The NFC as a whole still has Aaron Rodgers in it. And now we have to wonder, Seattle may still now need a quarterback if Drew Lock is, your guy. Maybe he wants somebody to compete with him. I don't know how much faith they have there. This might just be a roster retooling thing for the Seahawks because they're going to be able to get a ton of draft picks. I would presume they'll also open up a lot of cap space with this whole Russell Wilson situation. I mean, I should look it up. Let's just see what the cap situation and everything for the Seahawks is. We'll go to Seahawks over the cap and talk about that. But I'm guessing Drew Lock is going to be on the Seahawks roster. He'll be one quarterback, but I think you still want to bring more in. So all the rumors are already flying around because one of the big questions that we're facing right now is where does Jimmy Garoppolo end up? There are obviously several possibilities. Denver was being floated around as a possibility right after they didn't get Aaron Rodgers. That's not going to be the case because they have Russell Wilson now. I doubt that the 49ers want to trade with a division rival, but maybe Seattle wants to beef up the quarterback room. I mean, there's a reason why I'm keeping my Twitter and my tweet deck here just scrolling behind the camera because this is all moving so quickly. So it's just starting right now. I mean, it's already really wild, but all this movement is from the context of the 49ers lens is only going to get crazier because we said at the start of all this that it would all get rolling after Aaron Rodgers made his final decision. Well, it is all now rolling, and Aaron Rodgers has made his final decision. So I wonder where Garoppolo ends up. I just totally intrigued by all this money that Aaron Rodgers is making, and the earthquake has begun in earnest with Russell Wilson moving to Denver, and that is why I'm looking up the Seahawks cap situation. So if we go to Seattle on over the cap, they currently, before this Russell Wilson move, actually had a lot of cap space. They had $33.9 million. So, yeah, Wilson, his $37 million cap number for 22 is no longer going to be on the books. So that's 37 plus 33. Boy, that's a lot of money. Seattle's going to have $70 million in cap space, plus a lot of draft capital, presumably, that they have acquired from Denver in this trade. So Seattle's going to be in, I think, total rebuild mode, but they'll be able to rebuild, it seems, fairly quickly. That had been a problem for them, right, over the past several years, was surrounding Russell Wilson with the appropriate talent. Well, you would think that now pressing that reset button, Seattle will be able to do that. Meanwhile, Arizona has just played Cliff Kingsbury. Kyler Murray is demanding money, and the Rams are coming off a Super Bowl championship where they're going to have to pay guys, and that's going to be interesting because they went all in this year. So the whole financial situation for LA is going to be dicey. 49ers sitting over in their corner with salary cap issues of their own, with a plan of their own. I had a different video this morning just talking about the Nick Bosa, Deebo Samuel potential extensions. Obviously, a potential trade of Jimmy Garoppolo is a way for the 49ers to free up cap space, and it's just the Wild West. It really is. The NFC West is just like those old gunfights back in the day and all those cowboy movies. That's what it feels like right now. It feels like an absolutely absurd day in the division. Why don't we take some questions? Just kind of go through the instant reaction here. This is the first time I've done one of these lives right after massive news like this. I was ready to go live. I was sitting here. I was typing. But I said, why not? Why don't we just go live right now? And why don't we take some of these questions right now? I have this up on my screen, so we'll start taking them immediately. The 49ers are playing Denver this season, as D'Anthony points out. We don't have the schedule yet, but we have the opponents. It's going to come in May. Now, to this I say it's better to play Russell Wilson once than it is twice. If he's in the division, you play him twice. Again, 49ers 4-17 against Seattle when Wilson has started. But the 49ers do travel to Denver this next year, and it will be fascinating. All right, let's see some more. Seahawks fan. A Seahawks fan checks in. Nathan Waldman. Seahawks fan here, and I've been saying this all year. Trade Russ while he still has high value. We're not winning another Super Bowl with him, given the rest of the team. Yeah, I mean, from a larger roster building standpoint, Seattle had been stuck in neutral for several years. This is probably something I was going to tweet out after this YouTube Live. The Seahawks, I mean, we talked about it with Brian Schneider, the new 49ers special teams coach who was with Pete Carroll for an entire decade from 2010 to 2020. You saw the ranks of Seattle special teams in that decade. First half of it, top 3, maybe top 2 special teams unit. I mean, consistently ranking in the top 5 year in and year out. Toward the end of the decade, the Seahawks special teams faded. And, you know, that may not be the most direct way to illustrate that the roster deteriorated, but it certainly is one way of illustrating that the roster deteriorated, because when the depth starts eroding, special teams typically takes a hit. And the Seahawks built on defense and special teams to go to 2 Super Bowls early in the past decade. Obviously didn't get nearly as close late in the last decade, and those rankings started eroding. Russell Wilson remained great, but the team around him couldn't really finish the job to take the Seahawks all the way. So at a certain point, you hit the end of the road. At a certain point, you have to turn the page, and the Seahawks decided to turn the page sooner rather than later with Russell Wilson. It's fascinating to me because Seattle, back when they released Richard Sherman, back when they dismantled the Legion of Boom, Earl Thomas flipped off Pete Carroll. I mean, it was all about preserving the roster around Russell Wilson as much as possible, right? Being able to keep Wilson in the building. Well, now they've moved on from that because that experiment has not yielded them a Super Bowl. All right, let's see some. Yeah, Jimmy G is coming soon. This is one of the comments, and I agree. I think that is one of the next dominoes. Again, we said that Aaron Rodgers would start the deluge. We'll see what happens as this all continues. So I'm keeping my eyes peeled. Obviously, with Garoppolo, there may be some more medical due diligence that teams are performing, given the fact that Garoppolo underwent that shoulder surgery. I think he underwent it this week. I think it happened just a little bit after the time that it was announced last week. So he's going to be unable to throw for a little while, but I still think that something on that front happens. It just might take a little bit longer because of that issue. Jimmy to the Saints today is the question. I don't know. We know nothing. I don't think anybody knows anything. I think Adam Schefter probably finds out like a second before he tweets these things, because there was no indication, no clue that this was about to drop right now. I know that there was some talk last week about Russell Wilson, but I mean, this specifically, the Denver rumors and I mean, the Denver breaking news today, that I think just slapped the entire football world across the face with shock. And it came right after Aaron Rodgers had reportedly agreed to the $200 million deal with the Green Bay Packers. So it's getting moving. The new league year starts in 8 days. That's on March 16th. And I just saw that the Broncos will also send Shelby Harris to Seattle as part of the trade. So Drew Lock is heading over. Shelby Harris is a good-looking defensive tackle, interior lineman, will be headed to Seattle. Already a nice little return just with the 2 specific pieces I know, but I'm sure the return is going to be absolutely massive in this trade. So you can see exactly why the Seattle Seahawks wanted to pull the trigger, and you could see why the Broncos wanted to pull the trigger. If they don't have to give up too much as far as current talent, the Broncos do have a nice football team. They just need that quarterback. So Tom Pelissero said multiple first-round draft picks plus additional picks and players. I mean, this is giving me Herschel Walker trade vibes. I mean, this is wild. Remember the Dallas Cowboys when they were terrible back in 1989 when Jimmy Johnson was rebuilding that team. He sent Herschel Walker out the door because Walker was the only asset worth anything, right? He sent him to the Vikings, and the Cowboys got so many picks in return. They ended up turning those picks into other picks. And it turned into just an absolute juggernaut for Dallas because of the way they rebuilt things. I'm not saying that Seattle will end up in the same boat. They're going to have to manage the return that they get from Russell Wilson well, but I can see what the Seahawks are trying to do. In the short term, though, you could be sure that the 49ers are happy that Russell Wilson's out of the division. Maybe they could take a little bit of a breath while Seattle reloads here. But you never can sleep for too long in the NFL on anybody. Teams can rise back up out of the ashes very, very quickly. Peter Schrager, hearing Drew Lock, multiple other veterans, and a combo of 4 picks, crystallizing the rest. Shelby Harris, Drew Lock, a noted rising offensive star, and 4 picks will be headed from Denver to Seattle from this trade as we cover it live. All right, well, that's about all I have to say right now. Maybe I answer one more question, but then I got to go. Yes, I am expecting Jimmy Garoppolo news at some point. I don't know if it's going to be imminent this minute, like I said, but just got to wait and see. This is part of the glory. This is how the NFL owns the whole year, right? The NFL not only owns the 4 months away play, they own the whole year because of stuff like this. People are waiting on pins and needles. I bet you most of you are more excited right now than you are on a typical Sunday, just waiting for all this trade news. So the NFL has really found a way to monopolize our attention. All right, guys, good stuff. It never stops, does it? Russell Wilson to Denver. He's out of the NFC West. Aaron Rodgers is staying with Green Bay. Let's find out what happens next. Subscribe to the channel. More content coming your way. And I'll try to do these instant reaction videos and answer your questions and just keep this fun throughout this whole process because we have the formal videos and then we have stuff like this. And I think all of it has some value as far as talking football because that's what we love to do on this channel. Thank you. Subscribe. Talk to you soon when more cataclysmic moves happen. Sure to be in about 5 minutes, given the way that the NFL is moving right now. Russell Wilson is a Bronco. Everybody, take care. Talk soon.